Hello everybody, let's exit to port. It is currently the 22nd of October, 14:15 Central European summertime still. Although I do believe that in about a week or two, we're gonna have the change to Central European time. As you may hear already, I am a bit under the weather, and another one that normally goes under the weather, but because he is a dwarf, and my co-host Grumbles the dwarf.
Hello, it's me here from under the table.
Somebody help me. Yeah, we have chosen to call episode 10 of season 4 the slightly reduced one, I think, because we are both slightly reduced. I have just come home from the CC summit in Belgrade, and I managed to grab COVID. So far it's only behaving like a cold, so we're gonna just cross our fingers that it continues like that and it doesn't evolve like last time I had one. And Grumbles has been slightly reduced for other reasons for a couple of weeks now too. So we're just gonna take things chill today and hopefully not sniffle or cough into your ears. We're gonna try our best to hit the mute button where need be, but just so you guys are aware. So yeah, welcome to the podcast, everybody. Thank you so much, first and foremost, to our patrons who are now amassing a total of $6 a month, meaning every 2 months you guys are now paying for the hosting of Exit to Port. So thank you so much for that. That is incredibly nice of you. And if there's anybody out there who is considering doing the same, $2 a month, you are guaranteed to get your question in. I will say sorry because I wasn't able to reach out to our patrons before I left or did anything because, well, things have been crazy. But remember, as long as you comment, as long as you question, send in a question or anything like that, you are guaranteed to get that into the episode. So thank you so much to our patrons, Maringana, FionnMacCorvus, MrRoboto, and Tiltedhead. $2 a month, and you are guaranteed that. I want to say thank you to Tilted, who has been very active in the last few podcast episodes. And Tilted, I think we can work something out in regards to the farming sim save. That shouldn't be a problem. I know he expressed some deep concern that he would be losing the save, and I do understand why. He has spent a lot of time on that server and working on that farm, so I don't think that should be too hard to work around. But yeah, because we were talking about Satisfactory last time, as far as I remember. So, and yeah, that's kind of still in the works. Yeah, but we're just gonna dive straight into it, and talk a bit about some recently played games, also some games on the horizon. For those of you watching on YouTube or just listening on YouTube. Yes, YouTube. I'm not quite there, right? Okay, just yeah. On YouTube, you will see the list of topics in front of you. For those of you listening on other podcast places, there might be a little bit of a description with all our topics down below. We're just gonna jump straight into it, and I'm gonna start with one of my new recently played games, Breachway. There were a couple of others that I wanted to talk about, but Grumbles, you mentioned in the editorial meeting that we wanted to keep it positive, and just mentioning games for the sake of mentioning them if we didn't have a good time, not necessarily conducive. So there's a couple we skipped. However, I recently played Breachway from Hooded Horse, or published by Hooded Horse. I'm not sure if, who's the dev is, but Hooded Horse is the publisher, and it's a great little game. It's a honest to God great little game, especially if you like the kind of the deck builder games such as Slay the Spire, but also space games such as FTL, for instance. There are, it's brought a lot of different things in there. It's got cool story. So yeah, Breachway, great little game. Honestly, I'm not sure about the price of it, but I can definitely full-heartedly recommend it.
Edgeflow Studio is the name of the developer, and it's €20 or $19.99 on the Steam store. There's also a free demo, so people can go check out the demo.
Oh, okay. So yeah, Breachway. Fun little game, roguelike. Grumbles. You've not played it yet, but any experience with deck builders and roguelikes?
Not really, but there's a couple of them that I've sort of glanced at and thought, oh, this could be interesting. I think FTL is one of the granddaddies of that kind of thing.
Definitely.
And that's definitely one that's caught my eye, but not had a chance to play anything like that. Not in recent memory, anyway. You
have, however, jumped into one of the deceptively harder games out there. And I'm talking about Timberborne.
Sounds like something I would do.
Yeah, exactly. And Timberborne, it's been out for a while now. Can't remember quite when it actually released, but they've released DLCs, they've made updates, and so on. But consistently is just how hard the game is when you first start out. When you first start learning just how brutal the different mechanics are and so on. So talk us through your Timberborne experience.
My Timberborne experience has been quite brilliant, actually, like fun. Not in terms of describing how I'm playing, just so that that's clear. Yeah, just really enjoyed it. It's got kind of, as you said, it's deceptively difficult. It feels like, okay, this will just be kind of cute, and there's all these like beavers and, you know, what could possibly go wrong kind of feeling.
Cute animations, cute sounds.
It's and then the game just starts hitting you with stuff. It's really quite deceptive, as you mentioned, but I gotta say, it's quite the time since I've had so much fun. Just lean into a game and just relax and see where the flow takes you, as it were.
Yeah.
A bit of a damn water flow pun. I'm genuinely kind of blown away by how much fun it is. I'd always had like half an eye on it, but you know, I played quite a few like colony management type games and things like that. And I just thought, I don't know if this beaver game is for me. Turns out I've been missing out with this update as well, where they've done Wonders of Water and lots of stuff with the water flow and everything. I feel like I've barely scratched the surface of it. I like to play those games on slow speed, just so I'm really immersed in it and interested. I hope that there'll be some mods, either revised or new ones, come along where we can have Twitch chat people, the names populated into the game automatically. That would be great. I know Stats is following up on that with some mods from the past. Yeah, just it's so fun, and one of those where just you look up and it's like 6 hours went by. Like, what? I all I did was build this dam and a couple of houses, and you know, but it's got a great flow to it, not punning this time, not intentionally, and I really like that. You can immerse yourself into it. You can enjoy all the animations and the artwork. the fact of manipulating the terrain and the water, which I haven't got like too deeply into yet, but I've got the gist of it, is hilarious because and it's so engaging and rewarding because you make your changes and then you see what happens, and then maybe it goes the way you want, maybe not quite how you wanted, maybe it goes completely against what you wanted. And that just adds such a great dynamic and fun element, regardless of if you're playing on your own, just chilling, or if you're playing for an audience. It's just, it feels like a perfect little game. Like you can just pick this up anytime you want, and it's going to be a good time. It's not kicking you in the shins every single turn like something like RimWorld would, but it's, it'll still catch you out and challenge you nonetheless. And yeah, I like it.
It's definitely one of those where pacing matters. Like you need to pace yourself, that you don't bite off more than you can chew. But it's also one of those where if you don't do enough, then the game will punish you. So you need to kind of find that middle ground. Mind you, last time I played, it was still very fresh. So I do expect there to have been quality of life updates in between. But it's a great little game, and the fact that they are continuing working on it, that makes me happy, because that means it has actually been a success. Because it came out kind of not unwanted, but out of nowhere. Like it came out into a gaming scene that wasn't really doing a lot of colony management, but suddenly you had this city builder colony management kind of aspect to it with the cute little beavers, and then it just kind of took the world by storm, which was amazing. So yeah, kudos to them. I think the Polish developer, I think. Not sure.
I'm not sure. Mechanistry is their name, and the game just passed its 3-year anniversary.
Yeah.
But yeah, not sure where they're based. I have to look it up to see. They do their own publishing as well.
Friend of the podcast, Mr. Statsbloke, has played it extensively. Absolutely loves talking about his beaver town on stream, and showing off the way he handles his wood. I don't know how. Like, can I keep going? No, I won't. You know what? I'll stop.
It's probably not worth it. We'll probably get ourselves into TOS territory. I'd also like to make a special mention to friend of the podcast and channels, Jurak, who managed to hold fast, use as much dwarven stubbornness as he could muster, but finally succumbed and purchased the game.
Yeah.
And is now looking after a troop of wet beaver. So congratulations on another game that you don't have any time for, Jurak. I hope you're enjoying it. Sorry, not sorry.
No, Timberborne. It has plenty of mods too. So for those of you who want to check it out, I would definitely do that if you're into colony management, resource management, and a city builder-ish kind of thing. So definitely get in there. Would you say that Uboat is a resource management game?
I mean, it's kind of about directing your people. Don't know. I guess it's kind of a tactical. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's kind of like team management kind of thing. Like it's directing people.
Yeah.
So you're not so hands on yourself, although you can go in first person and do the stuff as the officers. So it can be if you want to play it that way. But the way I played it was predominantly directing the crew around to do stuff. Yeah. But another game that is very, very engrossing, and time just flies by because each campaign, and talk about pacing and that, it's very slow. Like the game allows you to speed time up a lot so that you can, skip through things if you prefer, or you can literally just real time walk your way through hours and hours of a mission. It's really up to you. But it lends itself really nicely to, presenting to an audience, because you can skip the bits where it's like, well, we're just pootling along out of the port here. No need to watch every single seagull fly past. To when you get into the intense action moments and you're being hunted by destroyers, or you're on the hunt for a convoy target yourself. The game just shifts gears, but so effortlessly. You go from, just chit-chatting and, I wonder what this is going to do, and have we got enough supplies here, or how would this work, or I wonder if we're going to find anything in this area, kind of thing, to all of a sudden like red alert battle stations and kind of chaos, but like controlled chaos takes hold, and it's great.
Nice. And what would you say the core gameplay is? Like, who is this meant for?
I think it's meant for people that enjoy like a kind of a tactical challenge, like, because it's about your timing and keeping an eye on everything. Like when everything from plotting your course to on the intercept route, like after I got through the tutorial where it was like a little hand holding, not a lot, but enough. It kind of went from that to like, now you're on your first mission, and we were scouting an area, and we went on an intercept course for that. We learned everything and used everything we learned from the tutorial, but then we just carried on, and there was no sense of like, I don't know, you might want to go to periscope depth, you might want to arm your torpedoes, you might want to, get ready. And I ended up like sailing pretty much underneath. I did actually end up sailing underneath my target, because we just popped to the surface and we were just sitting there, and it was like, oh, because the game didn't handheld me and tell me that I should do these things, I kind of completely failed at my job running this crew, and we didn't do anything except go sightseeing and say hello and throw sandwiches to them. So then we just panic dived, went around behind them, and then we managed to get the kill anyway, because we torpedoed them from the rear. But it was an interesting lesson. So, and then the other side of it is, if you like that under pressure kind of, if you really immerse yourself in it, pun intended again, or submerge yourself in it, it's really, really rewarding, because you've got all these different things to manage. We had one bit where like, we learned about doing damage control and having somebody just on damage control, keeping an eye on things, because there was a really critical flood that occurs in the tutorial. And if you just didn't pay attention, you're like, oh, great, we did it, let's go home. And then pop, your submarine just bursts underwater or something. So it's quite, I would say that it's also, World War II and sort of historians and things like that. I don't know how super accurate everything is, but it seemed pretty solid on the nose. And people were like recognizing the ships and the types of submarines. They were recognizing the torps and the different mechanics and things to operate, like hydrophones and all that kind of stuff. So it seemed very very well done from that point of view, from a quality point of view. So if you're enthusiastic about World War II, you're enthusiastic about military history in general, you like maybe naval warfare and submarines in particular, all of those are big tick boxes, because it's just oozing with all of that. You feel like you've walked into like the set of a drama, like a some sort of like Uboat or whatever, you just feel like you absolutely are drawn into that world. And it's funny the way it does it, because on the surface you're like, well, there's lots of bits where you're just planning your course and following your route and dilating the time, and the mind should wander and all that, but somehow even when that happens, you get sucked back in the moment something's spotted or something occurs, like a plane flies overhead and spots you, and you're like, uh-oh, this could be big trouble.
Right.
Do we attack the plane? Do we dive quickly and try and run away? What's our battery and air time and all that kind of thing that you're managing? So there is some resource management from that point of view as well, yeah. So I think if you're of a mindset that you want to immerse yourself, learn a bit about the mechanics and everything involved in that, and then also have that element of like the feeling of how desperate it must have been for these sailors and that, on either side or whatever, but not talking about the politics of war and all that aspect of it, but just purely put yourself in the position. Imagine being in this tin can under the water, being depth charged or whatever, or even just on the hunt, how dangerous all of it is. Like one little collision or bump in the water, anything could happen. It's pretty intense like that. I like it.
Right. Well, okay, I guess that would be a clear recommendation to pick up this game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there you go. So if you like intense action and World War II and stuff, but also chill moments of floating along on the surface, get Uboat.
Mm-hmm.
It's good for you. Or something.
Yeah. Just to add one last word, I think it's exactly as you described it there with the chill moments. I think the biggest, like the coolest element of it to me is that it gives you these moments of where you can contemplate, you can think about, the foolishness of war and all that kind of stuff. You can go as philosophical as you want, but it really makes you think because you can almost imagine being on this boat and just having to sail for days to get to where your patrol's supposed to be, for example, or you're limping home damaged, people are injured and all that kind of thing. You're out of clean air and whatever else is going on. And it really gives you those moments of contemplation of like, why do we do this to each other? So that's another big element of this game, I think.
Now, I'm not gonna stomp on your parade there, but I do believe that it's not gonna be for most, but probably for some, because I do know a bit more about the inner workings of your mind and I do believe you do not you don't fall under the average gamer kind of plan there, but it's definitely something to keep in mind for others too. I will say that because there's a certain wisdom to it and a certain importance to it. We have two other games on our recently played games. Both of them have been played by you. And like neither of these have been on my radar at all. So can you first and foremost talk to me about these two games as a whole? Why did they pop up on your radar? And both like we're talking about Last Plague Blight and City 20. Like both of these are the games we're talking about here. So why did they pop up?
Yeah, so they popped up because of my leaning towards like crafting and survival games, building and that kind of thing. There's obviously a lot of those games and a lot of post-apocalyptic type things, and these are kind of variations on that. Where the Last Plague was one that I'd kind of scouted out some time ago, and I wasn't realizing it actually did fully release, but as part of the Steam Next Demo Fest, I played the demo of it. And also City 20. Last Plague appealed to me because it looked like a really interesting spin from the trailers and the documentation on kind of like that it's isometric kind of view, and you're trying to survive this strange blight, which is like a poison that's gone across the land, and that some areas are worse than others. And it goes really in depth, and it's all about like, well, if you want to make a fire, you should pick up some rocks so you can do it safely, and you'll need some twigs, and you'll need some kindling and some tinder, and then you'll need some fuel for it, so you can chop down a tree and then make that into some firewood and stuff like that. So it goes through like all of these little steps. So there's an element of like Vintage Story style, like everything has 14 steps minimum to get to your simple end goal. But it makes you think about, wow, okay, this if this happened and I was just stranded in the woods at some point, what the heck would you do? Like, where do you start? So, okay, let's get some shelter, let's get some heat, let's get something to eat, let's get some water cleaned up and stuff like that. And then you've got this added element of contamination to plant life and to animals and the water system. So you've got to be careful, like boiling your water, not eating or drinking too much of certain things and stuff like that. So there's a real nice, it's rather than just a simplistic like, oh, I'm hungry. It's like, okay, how can I actually sustain myself, and what do I need to do to remain healthy and avoid this poison and stuff? So, and then there's a story going on in the background where you're going to meet other survivors and eventually look for locations where people are maybe coming together and helping each other.
And it's a modern era post-apocalyptic, or
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so like kind of a present day type thing. I'm not sure if it's meant to be set in a specific era. It could arguably be like anywhere in the last, couple of decades or so, but it's definitely it doesn't feel like as old school as like a Project Zomboid 80s kind of setting or whatever. It feels more recent than that.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, good fun. And City 20 was something kind of similar that reminded me more of Project Zomboid. Again, an isometric kind of feel, but it was another sort of survival-oriented theme where you've got it's a much more like close-knit in terms of like there are settlements and factions and things, and it has more of a diplomacy element to it where if you go and do favors for different factions, you can kind of get rewards or earn money to buy fuel for things that you know where that might be needed. And there's a lot more like building your encampment and that kind of thing to it. But you're like a chess piece in a moving game that's evolving around you. So, for example, there's mechanical elements like if you over harvest or you over hunt animals and stuff like that, that might become depleted or very scarce, and then that might have an impact not only on you but then on the neighboring factions. So people might be disgruntled with you. You might find yourself like getting attacked and stuff like that because they're like, "Hey, you killed off all the rabbits. What are you doing? Over hunting and stuff like that." You know, elements like that.
Okay.
And yeah, so I thought this could be kind of fun. I sort of went into that one a little bit blind. It was one where I was just approached saying, "Hey, here's a blurb. Would you like, you know, you get a dozen of those a week kind of thing." Yeah. But that was one that just piqued my interest because I thought this looks like a kind of a Project Zomboid, but without murder, death, zombies every 2 minutes, making me hate my life. So yeah, I'm definitely glad I checked it out. That one definitely needs, I think both of them need a bit of time to cook. Definitely needs some sort of quality of life touches here and there. Things like, you know, when you're harvesting and you've got to bend down to pick up every twig, there's like 5 twigs around you, and you're like, couldn't I just say harvest twigs in a 5-foot radius or something?
Yeah, because humans have the ability to stay bent over for a bit and pick up a few twigs at the same time. So
yeah, so there's things like that where I think developers sometimes think, oh, this would be really cool. We'll do this in super detail, and this will really immerse people in it. And yeah, there's an argument for that, but you got to realize at what point your game becomes so super tedious that nobody wants to click the button anymore, you know? So
yeah,
they both need a little bit of balancing in that regard. Less so for City 20, but City 20 felt like it needed some, I think that one was fairly early demo stages or whatever. So that was like, okay, you've got the makings, the core of something that could be really fun here, managing not only survival, but your sort of political faction side of things as well. But it needs more, that definitely needed more time to cook all around, like feeling like optimization and movement and stuff like that. Whereas The Last Plague felt like it kind of knew what it wanted to be. That was already set out in a stall, and now they just need to think about, and I think that one or both of them may be like either one person dev or very, very small team stuff as well. So very impressive that people are managing to put these level of complex things together. Yeah, Last Plague felt like it needed some TLC around things like, you know, managing your inventory, and they were trying to do a bit of a pseudo Tarkov type thing where you gotta shift things around in your pockets and all that, which that's kind of cool. But again, it's like, so I have enough space to pick up these 3 long twigs or sticks, but I gotta remember to press the button to sort my inventory so that I can fit them in the long stick slot kind of Tetris.
Yeah, it needs to be shuffled around. And
yeah.
So there's, I kind of like when games do it, but it needs to be done in a way where it's not intrusive and annoying. Intrusive might not be the right word, but it needs to be done in a way where, like at some point, it might make me make an important choice of what is going in what slot, and what am I carrying and what am I leaving in base and so on, you know?
Yep.
But it's definitely like if you take it too far, then it's just becoming an annoyance, and it'll become a gripe with players, and you don't want that.
No, exactly. But definitely two that I would recommend people kind of wish list, keep an eye on. Play demos of them or whatever, look for them on sale maybe. Both of them had that little magical something of like, okay, there's something here. We could come back and definitely revisit this and play it maybe, you know, in an update or two kind of situation. So yeah, good fun.
I'm gonna mention one in the next upcoming segment here, which is games on the horizon that isn't on the list. Yeah, no, I might actually just be able to edit it in on the list. Just as a honorable mention, honestly. And it's Tiny Glade. because that recently came out full release, and I haven't been able to play it yet. But Mari has been playing in it, and she's loving it as just a super chill out kind of thing. And seeing some of the creations people come up with on Reddit and other places for this, my God, it is impressive. So Tiny Glade is going to be my special mentions for games on the horizon for me to play. So yeah, like, yeah, and I know you've played it, and I know you really enjoyed it for the little atmosphere and the ability to take pictures and everything. So,
yep.
Have you been able to secure a full copy?
I haven't, but I probably need to look into that. It definitely looks like it's doing really well, and honestly, I think it's one of those that for me, I get so much enjoyment out of just seeing what people have come up with on that. You know, I don't feel necessarily the draw myself, or I don't know if I have the patience or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm sure I do in the right mindset, but I've really enjoyed seeing what some of the people have come up to. Like you mentioned, one of them in particular caught my eye was somebody made Helm's Deep.
Yes.
Yeah, and like little places for the orcs, the rows of orcs and stuff like that. It's really worth watching that time lapse or whatever video on YouTube. Worth looking up if people are intrigued by us talking about it. Just amazing.
I will say I'm trying to remove myself as like from the role of content creator when I'm looking and speaking about these, because we will have a tendency to think, will this be a streamable game? Can I play this on stream constantly? And I think in that we forget a bit about the nature of the game just without being on stream. And I think for Tiny Glade, for those moments where you just need to just have utter relaxation, there's no time pressure, there's no pressure on your mental being to have to create a certain thing or fit things in a certain way. You know, you can literally just play around with it, and it will help you create stuff, no matter how you do things. So I think for that, Tiny Glade is definitely going to be one of my go-tos. But we have other go-tos out there. And one of them is coming up with a rather large update soon. Well, I say rather large, but it's one of their big updates at least, and that's Eco.
Yeah.
The question is, will this trigger another season of something somewhere?
I'm pretty sure it will. I know that there's been a few little communities popping up servers here and there. I would imagine, it's like most things when these updates come out, depends, on what the content is, but usually it'll tweak somebody's interest. And this one caught my eye in particular because they're bringing in, painting of vehicles. Yes, let's go. Even though I need red predominantly, still nonetheless. But also they brought in some beautiful looking new log furniture. Looks amazing. Like the artwork and the way they've been developing these things looks fantastic. And it's always been something like, I don't know how they're going to do it mechanically, but it's always been a bit of a struggle for me. Like, if I'm not a carpenter or there's no one around that is doing that, or then it's a bit of a pain to get to like the next level of some of the gear and that, where it can be. So they're bringing that in. They've reworked the power cart, and then to cap it all off, and I'm sure this will get a wry grin from a lot of our listeners, they're putting in explosives so you can do more effective mining, let's call it. I'm sure they won't be used for any other kind of nefarious purpose whatsoever. But yeah, so explosives coming in will be interesting to see how that works. I'm sure that'll be later game. But interesting nonetheless that they're sort of leaning into some more of that terraforming and those kind of options. It's good to see.
Man, I hope I get to feature the custodian at some point again.
Yeah.
Because he needs to stretch his legs again soon. He does.
Maybe you can get organize or something, get a chance to join in on the late shift.
That
RP,
would be really cool.
Or at least the community server.
That would be
would
really
be
cool.
An amazing place. I'd love to see you on the RP server with us playing the custodian. I think that'd be great.
I think it would be really cool to kind of show some of the stuff that I did on the stats vacation server with the custodian, and if I had more people to work together with on that, and what we could accomplish. So yeah, I think that could be really cool. So yeah, Eco, it's I'm liking what they're doing. Like they're not swarming us with updates or promises or anything like that. They're working steadily, and when they have good things, they kind of go, "Hey, this is what's coming up now."
Yeah, I agree.
There's a bit of an issue for us content creators, though, because they seem to be very secretive at the same point. So we can't really be like, "Ooh, this is something that we can look forward to and play around with soon." But it is what it is. So
yeah, it's tough for them. I think they put a lot of effort into quality control, and I think that really shows in what they're bringing through now. The development cycle and the artwork, as an example, they've realized that getting all the mechanics and all that kind of stuff, which they've always been strong with, is half the battle. But if people look at it and go, "Oh wow, I need that in my house," or "I want to build this," or "I want to use that," that actually has a huge benefit for them too. So
right,
it's good to see, and we'll see where it goes in the next updates.
Indeed. And last game for the On the Horizon stuff is an older game, but it's finally getting a PC release, which makes me happy, because that it makes me hopeful that another game that I'm looking forward to or have been wanting could come to PC. But we're talking about Red Dead Redemption 1 is coming to PC. And that is an old, I think it was it PlayStation only?
I think so.
Like
possibly.
It was
I only
exclusive
remember
to consoles
from
at least.
there. Yeah.
It was exclusive to consoles, and now it's coming to PC. Which makes me really happy, because Rockstar doing this has a tendency to also put pressure on other developers to put out other games. So, but of course, everybody who has been in the gaming world has at least heard of Red Dead Redemption, be that number 1 or number 2. But there's no doubt in my mind that you've at least heard of it as the cinematic and storyteller's unicum that it is, because it is a large story. So maybe we now get to show off on Twitch the PC version of Red Dead Redemption 1, and have the complete story of John Marston and the others in that.
Yep.
You looking forward to it? Will you be going for it?
I am looking forward to it. I'm hoping that, fingers crossed, that Twitch occasionally they're like, "Oh, you've played a lot of these games, so here, have a copy of this one," because it is $50.
Yeah.
So, I hope I'm gonna wait first of all and see if Twitch does me a solid, and if not, maybe there's a key mailer or something like that out there that I can get a copy from, because I'd love to play it, but I'd also love to share it with the audience as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we got so much out of Red Dead 2. It's just the best story game I've ever played. Just so good on all levels. So yeah, fingers crossed, and we'll see. I'm sure at some point, maybe a Christmas sale or something. If nothing else, I'm super tempted.
But it is right around the corner, so keep your eyes out for that, gamers. And we'll see when Grumbles is able to fall face first into that.
Yep.
We're gonna move swiftly along to other things. Sorry, I'm fidgeting and turning on my chair and such because I'm trying to stay comfortable here.
Let's pick up the pace.
Topics from the gaming world here. And like I mentioned in the intro, I've recently been to the World of Warships CC Summit in Belgrade, where Wargaming were gracious enough to host me and a slew of other CCs for a look on the 2025 schedule and a few of the other things going on behind the scenes. There's not much I can actually share, sadly. However, I will say that first and foremost, I will likely be talking about the game and Wargaming as a developer in a different way because of what I've learned behind the scenes. It might make some people be like, "Ew, you've changed. Oh, you're a shill," and so on. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I got a free trip, but mostly I got education out of it. And like, there are so many of these things that I wish Wargaming would release to the public themselves, because it would help. It would help with understanding. It would help with knowledge of both how the game works, their processes, and everything. But there's like, it's not my responsibility to do that.
Mm-hmm.
They showcased for us quite a lot of stuff, and they talked at length about their process, like everything from balancing a ship to the process of how do we create new ships, how do we create new events, how do we do bug fixing, and all of these things. And not only that, also the story of everything that went around with the split from Leicester Studios, the move from St. Petersburg to Belgrade. There is a whole lot of stuff going on behind there that has never ever been told to the public, which is kind of like, whoa, okay. Oh snap, it's those sorts of moments.
Mm-hmm.
But I can say there's plenty of stuff that I'm excited for. So many things that they have talked about that I'm really excited to see, and glad to hear is coming up. Both for the CC program, but also for the game in general. And yeah, I think maybe most of all is, well, one, I am gonna say something that a lot of people do not believe, and it is that they play their own game. I witnessed it firsthand. I got to meet one of the devs. I got his signature on the card that normally hangs in the background of my screen. I recognized the name from in-game, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah. So can confirm they do play their own game. There were even stories being told, like, that concerns certain higher ups enjoying to play the game and and having direct access to devs to highlight bugs and issues. So but mostly, like, I want to talk about the change it will have for how I communicate with the other CCs and the CMs. So CCs being, of course, the community contributors, but CMs being the community managers and other managers in the program. Because they are no longer just words and pictures on a screen.
Mm-hmm.
They are now very real human beings where I've learned how they speak, I've learned their mannerisms, I see how they behave, and the text on screen will suddenly make so much more sense rather than just... And I will mention Zone MG as an example here. I've known Zone for a long time. And we've been friends for a long time, so I know how he speaks, I know how he behaves, but I think for a lot of people, they see him as this over-the-top, brash American guy who now lives in Florida but is from New York, and read him in that tone. Almost abrasive even, you know? But now that they've seen him, now that they talk to him, they will read his comments and his input with that slight kind of smile that he always has. He has that kind of, that slightly gesturing tone. So it's not as rough anymore. It's more like, okay, I could now read it in a different tone and have a different understanding. And that is maybe one of the biggest things with these sorts of summits. And just having that as more of a almost team building kind of thing, rather than just names on a screen. Like I said, it's been wild, man.
Cool.
So yeah, no, it's so if you hear any CCs out there speak about wargaming and the game in a different tone now, it is because we have a much deeper understanding, and where we now have been given so much information where we could probably explain things straightforward. There is a very strict NDA, so please, if you hear any of us say, just trust me on this, pretty please, just actually do it. Because we've been privy to some of the processes that are just kind of like, it would open up the eyes of everyone. But yeah, and one last thing that I'm gonna urge everyone. They asked, and they, like, I've seen it now, like, they actually go through feedback, they go through tickets, they go through everything that goes in. And it's very easy to get caught up on all the things we want to change, all the things we want to remove, 4501, and all of these things that we see as negative with the game. But equally as important, actually maybe even more important, now that I think about it, when there's something in the game that you enjoy and that you want to keep, please tell them. Be that in a customer support ticket, be that on the Discord or in any of the surveys they send out, tell them. And just kind of highlight, for instance, like the Libertad that you've been enjoying. Like, if you enjoy it, don't just tell your viewers, tell Wargaming. And then that goes for any ship or game mode or stuff like that, you know. Go ahead and tell Wargaming when there's something you enjoy and why. Because that's the sort of data they can build on to make the game even better, instead of looking at the negative data and trying to build something completely new. So, yeah, you know, go out there and be positive, or actually not just be positive, but be constructive. Rather is a better thing.
Yeah,
and and seeing some of the things that the customer support people get, guys, be nice, behave. You know, maybe even say, just send them a ticket and say, hey, I hope you have a nice day. Or thank you for what you do, because they are actually real people. The people in customer support, they do have them, and they are locked behind the same kind of rigorous process that wargaming have. So it's not that they can tell you if they perform an action against someone who is being racist or whatever, but they do work hard, and they deserve some love too. So yeah, pat them on the back. That's going to be my my plead to the to the community for that.
I'm going to write a ticket right now that says that my friend Tiger said after the CC summit, if I write this really nicely worded ticket, by the way, you're all brilliant, hugs and kisses, that I really enjoy the Libertad, and that Grumbles the Dwarf should be credited with a new ship called the Super Libertad for a testing period not shorter than 2 years. Thanks very much. Good vibes. Done.
Yeah.
No? If I don't have a Super Libertad by Friday, there's going to be words.
Well, I never said that you would get one.
Damn it.
Yeah.
It's not what I heard.
Yeah, exactly. You might want to consider taking your meds there, buddy. No, but like, it's not like it'll give you something for free if you're nice to them, but it will over time ensure that the product and game that you like will stay a product and game that you enjoy in the long run. And yeah, no, we learned some really cool things. And actually, there might be a lot of stuff from that we are going to be able to say, but we're waiting for the whitelists. We're just going to let Bugsy and Chrysantas have a few days off, a few days of downtime, because right, like a week before we came down there, they had the Privateer Summit, which is modders, testers, super testers, and clan testers. They were there for a week too. So yeah, they've been busy. They've been very busy. But yeah, that's enough. That's enough about that. We're gonna. Oh, sorry about that. That one stuck in there. Oh, gods.
No, you're all good.
Yeah. Anyway, we're gonna move on to content creation. Because
quickly before we move on,
go on.
It must have been good vibes to be there with Grumpy and meet Chegg and a bunch of other people as well.
Yeah, we're gonna touch a bit about that a bit later in a certain other segment. But,
yeah, okay, cool. We'll park that then. I just wanted to throw it in there because it was in the front of my mind. Like
I said, the people. Meeting the people was so big. So I think my something to smile about is going to be a bit long, but let's not worry about that quite yet.
All right, well, let's get there. let's power through before you run out of battery.
We're going to talk a bit about content creation and the stream together function that Twitch has given us, because we through our CNC campaign have been able to test it now, and whereas it's not as bad as we thought the first time around, where we started looking at this with this whole stream together knock feature, it's also not as good as we had hoped, because there is a certain issue with lag in it and freezing, and also very much a resource hog, especially with how we set it up, because it does render all the different camera sources one by one, if you have them one by one, and that's intensive. But it's still a cool feature. And now that StreamerBot has fixed its exclusivity thing going on there, and you can actually change which of your mods will have access to moderating in there. So if you have a bot account, then you should be able to exclude that from moderating in there, which means we can probably start using the all-in-one chat.
Interesting. Okay.
So we'll keep an eye on that, but it's genuinely an impressive product they've made. I will say that because that sort of thing is not easy. And if they keep working on it like this, we might actually get the full product that we're looking for with an all-in-one kind of thing, with a singular chat and the ability to kind of stream hop without stream hopping, if that makes sense. Where everyone gets the deserved attention and numbers and everything. So yeah, I do believe this is good. I mean, they're on to something. I will say that. So if you're a content creator on Twitch and you want to use Stream Together, it has at least half a stamp of approval, I think.
Yeah, we give it half stamp.
Half a stamp. Is it like half a stamp from each, or?
Well, I think it's a half a stamp combined, so they've still got some work to do.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. But what if we're 4 people that all give half a stamp? That's like 2 whole stamps.
Yeah, no. Well, then the total has to go up.
Okay, so
if they get 2 stamps already, then it's 2 out of like, I don't know, 69 or 10 or something.
Completely arbitrary numbers there, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's getting there, slowly but surely. Speaking of getting there, know your role. I don't know my role. Do you know your role?
Yeah, brown wholemeal, a couple of rashers of bacon, an egg, some butter, the ketchup, maybe brown sauce. Yeah, brown sauce.
Food. Yeah. No, we are going to be talking about the Conquest and Cataclysm, and that's actually an excellent segue into the dinner party. What the hell?
Yes, it is. Wow, that was not planned at all, but it worked.
No, it worked out. Why are you guys stealing so much food? Spoiler alert.
I mean, Funkin's he likes bacon. What the other guys are up to, taking a whole banquet in their pockets. To be fair, I don't think Funkin really has a problem when he looks at the other guys.
No, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I'm just wondering what I did in the world building to make you guys believe that you would have to work so hard to keep a hold of food and not be fed. Have I failed in my world building? What's going on?
I think the other characters are just greedy.
Yeah. Actually, you might be onto something. We'll see. Conquest and Cataclysm has had its inaugural run. I can't speak. We've had our character creation, we've had our introductory episode, and then we had a very role-playing centered episode, which I don't think people minded, because it gave us a chance of getting to know the characters more in character rather than through combat. And I don't want to go from combat episode to combat episode to combat episode. So how do you feel about Conquest and Cataclysm so far? What's your thought?
I feel very enthusiastic. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I think the role players that we have on board have the right kind of mindset and attitude. We've all got more of a leaning towards storytelling with some dice rolls for funsies thrown in, rather than the other way around. I think that everybody's very capable and conscientious, so they know everybody's kind of got a good natural feeling of like, okay, not too much time, you know, go around the table well. And I think that you're GMing incredibly well, because there's a lot of additional pressure. We've got the tech issues and things that we're working out in at the same time as well. And we've had many comments about how good the storytelling is and the world building. People are very much enjoying it, and they're enjoying the group and the characters we've created. So off to a great start. And as we go along and get a bit better with more familiar with the technology and work out the little nuances and things and fine tune, I just see it. You know, the key thing is we're all having fun, because we're all coming into the sessions like a bit nervous and, you know, with the tech issues and that kind of thing. And then we start playing after the intro, whatever, and all that's just out of our minds. We're just like, go. And you can tell by that and the level of audience interaction and all of the people are nicknaming characters and parties. Like the chat came up with the dinner party, for example. You know, it already got the nickname as D&C. Right from episode 1, about like half an hour in, this is the D&C. I'm like, what's D&C? Dungeons and Comedy. So I mean, these are all just like really, really positive things. And there's like, it's tricky when you do different things and we're spread across all the different channels. We don't have a dedicated setup and all that. Maybe in the future, who knows? But the fact that we're doing it the way we're doing it, and you know, still seeing a healthy audience that's actually growing as well, episode for episode, and plenty of follow-up on the VODs and things afterwards, and comments in between, and it's sort of seeping through in a positive way, like people are referencing the characters and this is what so-and-so would do, and that kind of thing, and that's a lot of fun for me, because it's not just like, oh, you know, Grumbles said this or whatever. It's you know, these are what the characters are doing, and this is what the tiger would have done, and this is what happened in that scenario. So, you know, when there's a buzz and people are talking about the world and what's going on with the characters in that world and what's going to happen next time out. And it was also like this Sunday, people were like harassing, no, harassing's the wrong word, but you know, I mean, in a fun way, but like, there were complaints in a friendly way about like, why is there no D&D? So that's also, you know, it's like, guys, we're trying to entertain you here. We're playing a game. We're having fun together as a group. And people are like, no, we want a D&D. So,
that is, honestly, you know, that is a massive victory. I want to say that is a massive victory for the group as a whole. Not just on the role players, not just on me as the storyteller. It is on the group as a whole for what we provide, and I'm super proud of that.
Yeah,
it's not often I allow myself to pat myself on the back for something, but this that we've jumped into head and feet first at the same time, which is impressive because we're not that bendy, most of us. Like that makes me so incredibly happy. Because I'm stepping into a DM role in a system that I haven't played before. Like, it's D&D, but it's 5th edition. And I've never touched that outside of the play test that they had back in 2013, I think, like before the release. But it's come such a far way since then, and it's such a far cry from all the other things that I've touched. But and I know for most of us, I think we're also fairly new to Roll20 in total. I think you and Doc definitely have played on Roll20 a whole lot more than the rest of us have.
Yeah.
But and then there's the fact, like, yeah, we've played together before and for a while, but we've not established a role play together like this before.
Yeah,
and that's really cool. That's big. Yeah. That's new.
Yeah,
and I'm so enjoying it, and I've opted to do something that I don't always do when DMing something. I am aiming to have this be a long-term thing. And that means, for me, I can't do as much prep as I've normally been doing.
Mm-hmm.
I have an overarching story in my head. I have a few encounters and possible bang moments planned out.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know exactly when I'll trigger them, if I'll have a moment to trigger them. I don't know how we are going to get there. But I know overall, like, where down the line, how we're going to get to those points. And that's new for me. And I think I threw you guys through a loop last time, where suddenly you were in a completely new world.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how many of you are familiar with that world, like, as gamers already. I think Lima is.
I think Damien and Doc knew what was going on, and I had no clue. So, but for me, it was great because everything that's new to me, I get that, oh, cool, okay, this is happening kind of moment. I get to see how I react to it. So I think it worked on multiple levels, because for me, it was like, I have no clue. So we go with the flow, which is my favorite kind of role playing.
No.
And for the others, there was lots of like little nostalgia bites and, oh, this is probably this, and oh, we're probably here, and oh, wow, I recognize that name and whatever. And it was just fun. And it was fun to see people like also being very cognizant of like, okay, I know what this is as a player, but my character has no clue. So what would my character perhaps react like, or what question would they ask, and that kind of thing. So it was nice to watch people like role playing to a very high standard as they kind of weave their way through, okay, how do I get to a point where my character understands what's going on?
Yeah, no, it's going to be great continuing with this group, and I hope we're going to get to a point where we can do it more regularly once I'm done with school and everything, so that we know that we can set a more regular schedule. This is a story that I'm looking forward to creating with the others. And you know, it's me, I'm just a storyteller. which is wrong, because I'm not really telling the story at all. You guys are the ones telling the story, but yeah.
No, I mean, you're weaving the world around us, and that's pivotal. And yeah, you know, just like I said before, and I know you're not someone that lets yourself be flattered easily and that kind of thing. So it was important for me to give you the feedback too, that people are really enjoying it and really looking forward to it, and really getting into what's going on in the world and the characters living in there too. So I think that I hope not, or certainly not soon, but there's going to be some emotions if we lose a character. You can tell already when people are getting this kind of into it, and you know, you start nicknaming things and getting into you know, that excitement and that anticipation of looking forward to stuff and what's going to happen next. It's going to be interesting. So if I was a betting man, I wouldn't put money on Funkin being the best at surviving, but we'll see how it goes.
So far, I'm very happy with the two cliffhangers I've left you guys on. Maybe especially the ones from episode 2, most of all. And if anybody wants to catch up on that, now is really the time to do that, because they are long. Like they range from 3 to 4 hours, roughly, in total length. So jump in on that wherever you may find them, be that in VODs, be that on YouTube. You'll find them across multiple different channels. Are you doing highlights of them, or?
Just the whole VOD is up there. I'm not doing any editing at this point, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. You'll find playlists, and we'll leave links down below, so you can find us and the other players. I think we're just gonna continue on keeping those 3 links in the show notes because it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be one of those things that we stick with and we want to keep highlighting. So yeah. But since we're already on Know Your Role, we're gonna move on to community contributions. Where we have a little bit of a question from Maringana. Maringana, of course, one of our patrons, guaranteed to get a question in. Mari says, Conquest and Cataclysm has had its first episode, and technically second by now, and your ambitions are big. Are you planning to get professionally commissioned character artwork? If you could have artwork from any artists, who would you pick? Now, before we jump into the question itself, you know the picture you use as a D&D background thing with a large dragon?
Yep.
That's Deathwing.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but apparently I've had it said to me, yeah. So it's a funny coincidence, because it's just, I like dragons, so it was like, oh, here's a really cool picture of a dragon.
Yeah.
I'll just use this.
Yeah. I came to think about it after last episode, like, hold on. That's a cool unmeant foreshadowing kind of thing. I can guarantee you it wasn't planned from my end, and it wasn't planned from Grumbles' end. Anyway, professionally commissioned artwork. Now, I don't play a character. So I think it would be hard for me to commission any sort of artwork, but I think, like, seeing some of the depictions of stuff like Critical Role, like having them drawn around the table, and Matt Mercer behind his DM screen, and all the other players around creating chaos and such. I think it would be cool to have something like that done, but I'm not sure who I would ask about it, you know? So I don't know. Like, for my sake, I think maybe getting small, very memorable scenes animated, you know, just for like a 10-20 second animation. I think that could be cool. Where there's either some sort of interaction between me and a player, or 2 players, or whatever, just to kind of see those little things go on. And I think if I could choose freely who would do them, are you familiar with Looking for Group comic?
No.
Okay.
Oh, I know. I vaguely know the name. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have Richard the Warlock, and they've done a few animations, and I would probably want to do something similar to that. So yeah. How about you?
I mean, I'm fortunate enough. We've got a couple of people who are sort of do professional artwork in the community. Mims, you've probably seen in chat a few times, who did things like the Bobby Flawless artwork and other, like my BRB screen, stuff like that. So I know she's very busy at the moment. She's setting up her own like jewelry, self-employed business thing.
Oh, interesting.
But I know that she would be super excited and happy to do something like that. I'm sure of it. So, I'm just kind of biding my time, but I think certainly there could be some great. I would certainly be happy to commission some character artwork, or some, like you said, like a scene or a moment where something occurred.
Oh,
there's going to be so many of them. I'm sure that something revolving around characters stealing food could be done.
You know who I just remembered? Eric. Eric draws. Our good friend Grumpy Beard has so much artwork from him, of course.
Yeah.
But I think a comic of just a few squares in his style would be really cool for this party. I think that could be really cool, yeah. But I would love to see Mims draw Funkin and his curiosity, or maybe sitting down with a way too large plate of way too large bacon and just munching on it, yeah. Or Ragnar with his, how big of a stein was it? It's an ogre-sized stein.
Yeah.
For this dwarf character. I think that could be really cool because Mims has a fabulous style too. Like all of these artists have their own kind of thing they could bring to it, and it's so hard when you're in a community that has so many talented people too. You're kind of afraid of even mentioning one in case you like you don't want to step on anybody's toes. So and you don't want to sit there and ask for things for free either, because that's not cool, you know. Maybe one day we'll be rich enough to be able to commission professional stuff and from the bank account of Conquest and Cataclysm.
Yeah, there you go.
That would be nice. It would be very nice. I think that's where we're gonna leave that question. I hope it's nicely enough answered. Do you have anything to add on the back end of that, or?
No, I think it was a great question, and I concur. I hope that we've answered it satisfactorily. Yes, like you said, tricky, especially when you don't want to forget the one or the other. But I definitely think it would be a great idea, and a lot of people would get something from it. As I said, the viewers have already been hammering away at the keyboard with lots of names and ideas and enthusiasm. So I'm sure that some artwork, I mean, an animation would be amazing as well. But we'll see where it goes. Watch this space.
Watch this space, indeed. And also keep your eye on my channel in the future, because I might be doing some prep work on stream where we prepare encounters, maybe draw a map, or something like that. So, and I might then just go ahead and ask for input directly from people in the stream.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear.
Urban Hangman has already sent me a couple of TikToks of things that I was like, oh yes, I need to do this. Not anything OP or dangerous or anything, but stuff that is kind of like a meme from the different channels, and I think it would be great as a kind of a friendly callback to things. So
yeah. Sounds terrible. Thanks, community.
Speaking of community, as part of community contributions, we also accept little victories. And Mari has sent her in. And I want to encourage everybody to share your little victories with us, especially in our places where we get comments or feedback for the podcast, because it's not always that we remember to write stuff down. Actually, it's more the rule that we don't write stuff down, so please write it down for us. Pretty please, because we love sharing these. We love sharing little victories. We love answering questions and comments, and I want to encourage our patrons yet again that get your comments in. Feel free to tag them as patron comment or patron question too, and it'll definitely make it in. But Mari took a week off, which is unusual for her, and she had what she describes as a week of glorious staycation with lots of gaming and finding the addiction of Stardew Valley. And knowing how much is going on in Mari's life, and seeing her take that vacation for herself and jumping headfirst into Stardew Valley and really enjoying it, that made me happy. And there might be some people out there kind of looking at this comment and being like, why is this a a little victory. Well, little victories are not measured to you. They are measured to the person sending it in. A little victory can be anything from I got out of bed today to I climbed Mount Everest. Honestly, okay, you know what? If climbing Mount Everest is a little victory for you, get the fuck out. No, don't do that. Like, but kudos to you. But it's those little things in life where we feel a sense of pride, and sometimes we might not dare share because we're afraid of what others think of it and being judged by others. But no, this is not going to be one of those things. It's going to be one of those things where we are going to try to see it from the point of view of the person sharing it and celebrating it with them. And in this case, I am very much celebrating the fact that Mari took time off despite being stressed out about work and everything else, and just kind of playing a game and actually being able to do that, because I know that's one of her little stress points. So that's a good little victory. And yeah, again, we encourage everyone to share their little victories. Pretty please. We've already said thank you to the patrons and encourage them, but once again, Maringana, FionnMacCorvus, MrRoboto, and Tiltedhead, thank you for being paying patrons. Patreon.com/exit to port. That's where you can find us. We only have one paid tier, and that is $2 a month or equivalent. And we're going to try to post the episode there as soon as it's ready. And then it's going to be ready on other podcasty places and YouTube after that. Roughly around the 27th or 25th to the 27th. But patrons usually get it about a week early, because that's one of the things that we decided to do. And now, the last segment that we always call something to smile about. And I kind of have two things. So should we make something to smile about sandwich?
It sounds like it.
Okay, well, since we've recently been talking about Conquest and Cataclysm, I'm just going to go ahead and jump in and say that one of my something to smile about since last time we had an episode was in the first episode of Conquest and Cataclysm, when I described a certain effect when I think it was Lima casting something, and Lima outright saying, "Oh no, I don't like this." That genuinely made me smile. Because getting a seasoned role player to utter the words that no, I don't like this, that's like you've nailed something then as a storyteller or DM, honestly. So that was part one of my something to smile about. And then we're just gonna glide silently over to you. Where you've been doing charity again, haven't you?
I have.
Yeah.
We raised $1,069.69. For the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Very important cause, global message, and a group and organization that is very transparent with what goes on, and is active all across all of the states in America, providing education and influencing policymakers and all sorts of things that they can do there, and also helping those who are the bereaved and left behind, because, you know, almost a forgotten aspect of something like that too is that sometimes you try your best and somebody still can't hang in there. And others are left behind, you know, so it's also really important that they have these caring programs and education programs for that too. So amazing. And to go with that, I got a message from the captain, not related to that particular charity thing, but I try, as you know, I run a pledge, so 69% of all my content creator income goes towards charitable causes. I donated to a cause that Burt Black was supporting, which was all about canines, about helping service people or others that were injured that need dogs that benefit greatly from having canine support. And I didn't know this, but at the time, because it's always very chaotic, I can only catch Burke a little bit in the mornings before I start myself, so I don't get to see as much of his content as I'd like. He's a very, very fun entertainer and someone I very much look up to. And he had a thing going that, again, I didn't know about, that every donation of $100 or more got a personal message back from him.
Ooh.
And I donated $100.69 because it's a meme. I live the meme.
Haha, funny number.
Yeah. So he sent me a DM with a video. Obviously, I'm not going to go through the content because it's a private message to say thank you and recognize the kindness and everything. But boy, oh boy, this is a guy that is super busy all the time. And has got a lot going on. And he, see if I can start this without making noise. No, I can't do that. Okay. But he sent me a 2.5-minute video. He started it off with a joke about, hey, look at this lovely Godzilla statue I've got here. And, you're probably wondering why I'm messaging you. Well, I just wanted to show you a little bit around my streamer studio and all that,
Yeah.
But then he completely flipped it. He made a joke about the 69 cents. And he's like, but then he obviously thanked for the donation, and then he spent extra time and you could see he was like, it wasn't some script or something. He was just riffing it,
Yeah.
So it's, genuine and heartfelt. And he, not to say that sometimes, people need to script things. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not Burke's style. So he then went on to just talk about how, he enjoys, like, we get to hang out and role play or play games together. And but also about how Twitch growth and all that has changed so much in the time he's been doing it, and he just gave a lot of encouragement and positive energy back towards me as well, and I really appreciate that, because sometimes yourself, you can have these moments where it's like, well, this doesn't work.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that gave me a huge something to smile about, because it's nice when somebody that you really respect and look up to, and you get to know them a little bit, but not to say that we know each other very well in that, in just to see somebody that takes the time, and that is so, this is how I expect this guy anyway to be, that's how I understand him, but to actually experience that sort of firsthand, as it were, through such a video message where he just riffs on, like, this is what I know from you, this is my experiences with you, this is what I have to say about that and everything, and give this encouragement back to you. And it was just, really heartwarming that somebody, bothers and takes the time to sort of recognize and do that. So really appreciate that. Keep being you, Captain. You probably will never hear this, but nevertheless, I think you're an amazing entertainer and a really good person with your feet on the ground. So, good vibes.
Good vibes, and a continued good luck in your journey for further bettering your health.
Mm-hmm.
He's put in some amazing work there, and
yeah, he has. Yeah,
he deserves some kudos there too. Honestly, because that's not easy.
Nope.
I speak from experience. But that's always fun to see and hear that, like, even someone who has as much going on as Burke has taken time out to say thank you in a way that is actually personalized. Like, it's not just enter generic text of thank you, hero, for doing this. It's something more, and that does mean a lot. Personalized touch is always welcome. And something that also is always welcome is this is gonna sound weird. The unbridled joy of meeting someone you've been wanting to meet for a long time and having that end up being two grown men hugging each other and just jumping around in the street as if they are 4 years old, not giving a fuck about the world. Because that is what happened one of my last days in Belgrade. Because sadly I didn't get to hang out with Chegg much. It's a whole thing of my brain still thinking Chegg equals Prague. Even though I know he lives and works in Belgrade, you know, it's like there's just Czech equals Prague. That's it. And but the last day, when he came to pick up Clyde Plays to go on a bit of a tour of Belgrade and such, and have a look around. I got to give him a big hug, and we just started jumping around in circles like two 4-year-olds that are just kind of not caring at all about what goes on, and we are both fairly large, hairy, bearded men, but like there wasn't a care in the world, like there wasn't a thing in the world that we would notice at that moment. Just pure smiles, and thinking back to that moment is going to be something that I'm going to live on for a long time, simply put. And that just goes to show that the relationships you build online are just as important and just as real as those you build in the real life. Because meeting Chegg, meeting Grumpy, Chaos, TC, Zone, Clyde Plays Live, Sea Raptor, Zath. I'm almost afraid of mentioning people in case I leave a name out. Killer Bin. I just Bogsy, Chrysanthos, all of these people that I've had conversations with, and I've had this creator relationship with, and talked to quite a lot. Like just instantly going from the first slight awkward, oh hello, to oh, we're just right back to talking about whatever. Because we've had so many conversations, and being able to give all of these people the hugs that I've been wanting to give them, and being able to record a live little message to you from me and Grumpy and sending that on the Friday, that was so much fun. And yeah, I'm trying not to become emotional here, but it's
too late.
I'm not emotional, you are.
No, but I'll share something. You'll like this.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, out of the blue, on the 19th of October at 9:30 p.m. in the evening, this guy, actually a little bit earlier than that, this guy called Just Chegg starts DMing me. I have to say, I just hugged these two troublemakers. I wish you were here. And then the conversation goes on, and there's a picture. And then he said, I can't remember if Tigers took a picture, but I saw him today when I was picking up Clyde in front of the hotel, and two of us slim guys, bald and bearded, hugged like little kids, and we're jumping in a circle like we were four.
Yeah.
So it's so good because completely independently, I got the two sides of this sort of story from you two guys, and it just warms my heart and makes me smile so much.
So yeah, no,
it's awesome.
It's like I've always said that the relationships we build online are important, especially when we're able to band together over be it an important topic such as those that go on in your charities, in the charity I fund, in our love for role playing, in our love for certain games. They're all important. And in the end, we are all human beings at the other side of the screen. And this is going to be my encouragement to everyone out there to be as kind to yourself as you are to others, but also to give strangers an extra kindness, because you never know what they're going through.
Amen.
And that's going to be our signing off words. That's going to be a goodbye from me and a goodbye from Grumbles.
Bye.
And we will exit the porch in the next one with you or something. I don't know how we sign. Do we ever sign these off?
Is this thing still on?
Yeah, I think so. Goodbye.